Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world, and welcome to Gift of Healing TV. I'm your hostess, Sarah Jane, and I am really pleased to welcome this week Jill Mattson, who's joining us to share music. What was it? Music for enlightenment. Sorry, I haven't got that. Music to enlightenment. I do apologize. Jill is a prolific artist, musician, and author. She is a four-time author and widely recognized expert and composer in the field of sound healing. Jill has produced 7 CDs that combine sorry, it's me and my reading, I apologize, folks, intricate sound healing techniques with her original award-winning musical compositions, Deep Wave Beauty CD and Best Age CD Silver Award. The CDs consist of intriguing magical tracks using ancient and modern techniques with sound energy and special healing frequencies to achieve profound benefits. Available on her sites for free MP3s of her sound healing compositions, including, now this is my pronunciation of these and I will apologize in advance, solfeggio tones, star energy, flower frequencies, Fibonacci and nature tones. Jill, welcome to the program. It's lovely to have you here and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Music is an incredible hidden force that can change us in ways that we can barely dream of. And I'm really excited about sharing this so everybody can get more of the blessings.
Brilliant. Yeah, sound on energy, all sound energy is absolutely phenomenal. And for those that know me, they know that I'm into sound energy as well. So this is an absolute dream program for me. I love all my guests, but sound is definitely my special one. So Jill, first of all, I know I've shared your bio, a brief bio, but share a little bit about your story, how you got involved in this in the first place.
I went on a spiritual quest when I was, when my children were little. Actually, my son had to write an essay on Imagine the Magic of the Computer, and I just had a baby, and he would watch my baby when I did the dishes, and he didn't like that. He'd rather play computer games. So he wrote this essay, and he was going to use the computer to make a hologram of the mother, throw the baby in the playpen, and then all good little brothers could go off and play games. Anyway, I kind of stole his idea, and I started to apply that idea to the computer and the Bible. And I was very much into very conservative Christianity at that time, and I was very sincere about it. And so I writing an autobiography of God, and I start in the Old Testament. And I don't know, God had PMS. I mean, he was cranky. I mean, honest to Pete, you know, I was thinking God's love. And when I'm writing this autobiography, I was always kind of trying to cover up for him. And then I thought, well, something's wrong here. And I threw out my dogma. I didn't throw out the big concepts, but I threw out packaged religion that has been, I believe, changed to control people. And I decided that God was love, and I wasn't accepting anything less than that. And that I was really interested in other traditions that showed, you know, piqued my imagination so that I could come up with the most loving and God and the most loving concepts. So since I'd spent a lot of time and I was stubborn and I didn't want to just erase a whole year's work, I started with, you know, the Serpentine Bible, and then I got into the Kabbalah, which led me to the Sumerians and the ancient Egyptians and the Hindus and the China and all these different mystery schools. They're coming up with these beautiful ways to expand your heart energy and love, and I was just so excited. And I'm a musician and been so since I've been about 5, and this is a 25-year quest. So anyway, as I go on this journey, and I'm an amazing geek, reading all this ancient stuff, They would occasionally put stuff about sound and music. And my, I was like a porcupine, with hair on end, and I'd start to sweat and breathe different. And I started to write down their tips. And this is what I found, that there's many ways to change. And in this world, 3D world, perhaps the most powerful is sound. Not better than, but it's the same frequency as our thoughts, our bodies, everything in our body, and our emotions. I mean, so, and when you transfer energy through resonance, it's strongest on the same pitch, and it gets a little less with each octave or harmonic interval. Make long story short, sound, being neither good nor bad, is the most powerful energy we have available to us. And its secrets were hidden because people could use it for control. They could use it to kill people, make them sick. You can use it to make them think the way you want to think. Hitler was into this kind of stuff. So before they would divulge any of their sound secrets, you'd have to kind of like belong to the club, be involved in the mystery school and prove your values. And so it was very hard to find. And I believe it's the last to come out as we enter this new golden age, giving us every second to be as mature as possible. So anyway, it was clearly given to me. And I was able to piece it together, because it's like, let's say the Rosicrucians had a clue. Well, there's a clue, but then the Hindus had another. And then the Egyptians had another. And it's kind of like, it was like crocheted lace. It's like you had to have all the pieces to understand the full message. And although it took me 25 years, I have done it, and I've got quite a grip on it. And now I'm just making it easy. Music is cheap, it's accessible. You can listen to it while you're not even paying attention. You can sleep to it. It's the most powerful modality. And I'm taking these different techniques for benefits, putting them in gorgeous music, and making it available. So each CD is a beautiful gift, a powerful gift.
And that's amazing. I mean, I'm 100% that behind sort of all this to do with music. Music can hurt, music can heal. You've just got to think about, you can listen to a piece of music on one day and it's great, lovely, and you can hear it on another day, and depending on your mood, actually it drives you up the wall. You've got to turn it off. It does depend on the place you're in.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to think about what you're doing. If you want to relax, you'll listen to certain type of music. If you want to re-energize, you'll listen to another type of music. If you want to go out and have fun, if you want to go and dance, it'll be to a different type of music. And that's what's so wonderful about sound energy. You'll listen to some birds singing and you'll love it. Then you'll hear other birds and you think, so this is what I love about nature. It's nature's sounds and music as well. And that's why so many of our new age CDs have nature sounds in them, rivers, birds, whatever. Music is amazing. It really is. And so I'm really looking forward to experiencing this. Dawn, hi, one of our regulars, who's actually been on the program as well. So lovely that you're here. For the rest of you, please feel free to type in that you're here. There's a little box, and I'm not sure on your page where it is. It's on the bottom of my page. If you can write your message there, let us know you're here and where you're from. That would be lovely. And sort of once Jill has shared and we've experienced the music, also feel free to share your experience of that, and feel free to ask any questions. We'd love to have those from you. So Jill, I'm really looking forward to this. So would you like to explain a little bit about what we're hoping is going to happen? Because bless her, Jill had put a whole CD together of just the snippets, and she was playing it through the computer and I couldn't hear it. So we're now going back to the fallback of a CD player and having to put the CDs in, but at least there is a fallback place so that we can do this. So Jill, share a little bit about what we're hoping is going to happen this evening.
Okay. I want to explain a little bit of each technique, You see ancient people. Let's just imagine we're in Lemuria, for example, and we're kind of like an angel ourselves. And so you could look at a human being and you could see that color or light coming from their organs when they're healthy. And so when you're healthy, you're a beautiful, dazzling pastel kind of light picture. And as soon as you get sick, that area gets dark. You can also hear in this imagination journey, you can hear the body, and it's a beautiful, harmonious song, symphony. But yet when you get sick, you get an out-of-tune note. So ancient people could see and hear things in your physical body or in nature. And they could see certain things that make you healthy or make you sick. To us, it's almost superstitious, maybe it's mystical. To them, it was obvious. And so I want to explain how they do the transfer and what energy that the ancient people have learned to capture that blesses us. And so each CD has a different type of blessing, sonic framework. And I thought I'd just explain that right off the bat, and then we could go in and listen to the music. And then I thought I would do some mudras, which I channel angels and masters, and as much as they can come within you and speak through you, they can also move your hands. So in hand, let me see, in ancient magic, when they're trying, these are when people have lost clairvoyance and clairaudience, and they're trying to give themselves blessings. They might use a music, and then they would put on top of that colors, and then they'd put on top of that a fragrance, and then they'd put on top of that a certain herb, and then they'd make you like a spell, a magic word, a formula. And what they're doing is that they're taking the quantum energy, they would use different names, prana or orgon or subtle energy or something, but they're going to take these little subtle energies and keep mixing them till you get a high enough doses so that you can change physical matter, because quantum means very, very tiny. And so they would come up with a million different ways to just keep powering it up. And that's what a mudra is. It's just an action that actually creates a certain frequency. Likewise, they would like put sand on a drum and then make a certain sound underneath, let's say Om. And if you're really patient, because it would be really boring to me anyway, but if say Om for hours underneath the drum with sand on it, it's going to make the shape that we associate with Om. So that the shape, the action, the sound, you can translate it to a color, they're all the same frequency. And they would like doing a recipe. If you want it to be strong, you put in enough ingredients. So, and nobody needs to really look at it if they don't want to. You're perfectly, will be just as blessed by closing your eyes and enjoying the music. So.
Brilliant, brilliant. So yes, so please, what I think the way we talked about it before we started was that Jill's going to share a little bit about each one, play a little bit of music, then share about it, then play, then share. So please, what I'm suggesting here is, if you're enjoying it, please get into the relaxed position, whether you lie down, sit down, whatever. Watch if you wish to, absolutely. But don't come out too far so that you can go back in and enjoy the music. I don't know how good in respect of distortion, etc., the music's going to sound, but please, the one thing I know from my own work with sound energy is it's not about what you hear, it's about what you feel. Feel the energy of the music. What you're hearing, it's about what you feel. So, and we have got quite a few people who've joined us. So I'm going to say a few quick hellos to everybody, and then we'll get on with this. So, and I'm really looking forward to this. Phyllis Ann in La Cuenta and CA, is that California? I'm not up on the American, being here in England. Catherine in Philadelphia. Linda, Pennsylvania. John, Afghanistan. Welcome, John. Another regular of ours. Hannah from Austria. Marion from Colorado, Jeffrey from Barcelona, Steve from Houston, Mara from, and it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Mara. And so she knows your work, and she's got some of your CDs from this. Oh, Catherine, it's your birthday too. So happy birthday to you. We've got a couple of birthday girls listening. So happy birthday. What a lovely treat for you. Caroline and Catherine. So Kate. Oh, and we've got Kate as well in Toronto in Canada. So we have a lovely mix from different parts of the world. So lovely folks. Great to have you all with us. And I'm now going to hand over to our guest. And I'm going to put it into Jill's hands. I'm not going to join in again until I know that she's finished. So I'm going to shut up. Jill, over to you.
Okie dokie. Well, I just saw a question about speaking about the Bach flower remedies in music. So perhaps I'll just start with that. As I said before, the frequency of something can change your consciousness, your thoughts, and your physicality. And so the frequency of a flower can produce a certain mood. For example, a rose feels beautiful, whereas a daisy's cheerful. And ancient people would use music, but they would also use the subtle or quantum energy of just about anything. So if you were depressed, you would consume daisy energy, subtle energy of daisies, and that kind of mixes with you, and the waves interact like sound waves, as ancient people knew, and you would become more cheerful by being around daisies, by consuming daisy energy. Well, energy is something that moves, and you can count the cycles per second, and you can get the frequency of anything. So I have these healing flower symphonies. I've got 2 CDs and 12 flowers. And my guides have said that to recommend it, I did the soul flowers because that would clear the emotional body. But I started out with just the frequency of the flower, which listening to that's akin to taking a flower remedy, drinking it, because you get the same dose. And then I added the frequency of the feeling, which actually is very similar, same octave of the flower. And then that would be boring. So I added the music to match the flowers. In other words, an impatient flower gives you the frequency of patience. So the music sounds very patient. Again, amplifying it, same idea, bigger dosage, bigger impact. And I started out that way with all these positive values, and my guide said, let me see, you can sugarcoat your crap, meaning your negative energy, but you still got your crap. You can light coat your crap, but you still got your crap. So you can do meditations to bring in light, but you have to get rid of all this stored pain and suffering from just wells of it we all have. And then in my lifelong quest and study, I noted that the Greeks were experts in taking out negative energy. And let me see, here's a way of thinking of it. Let's say you worry a lot. So that's negative energy, subtle, goes to your tummy, gets stuck in the lining of your tummy. And eventually, if you continue to worry, you're going to bore a hole and have an ulcer. But it gets stuck in that lining. So what they would do is that they would create music that's that same vibration, and just think of like a little ghosty hand in there, scratching it and clawing it, and then it will release. So I have in my healing flowers, we release the negative and then we build the positive. So since we are on air, I'm just going to do the positive end, and I want to get in all the songs. So I'm going to play Scaranthus. It's a flower remedy, and Scaranthus is for that negativity you get when you can't make up your mind. Like, if I do this, it's going to have this problem. Nah, do that, I'm going to have this problem. That kind of negativity being stuck. When you know your path, when you are on the right road, you know there's none of that negativity. It's like you're just sailing. And we think it's the situation that drives the indecision. No, it's you that drives the indecision. And so now we're going to listen to some energy to get you in the flow of knowing you're on the right path. And here we go. Let's hope the CD works. Okay, Scranthus. And I think that Scranthus might be one of the free MP3s I have on my website at Jill's Wings of Light. I think that whole track is one of the free ones I give away on the homepage. Okay. So now we're going to talk about another ancient way of blessing you and taking your energies up for enlightenment on the fast track. Ancient people, again, were trying to get a high enough dosage of subtle energy that blesses you and takes you up on all levels. One way was to look at nature and look at the actual shapes of nature. For example, the spiral in a galaxy, or the spiral in a seashell or in a beehive. Quickly, you can see that Mother Nature, although it seems very varied, she really does not have a whole lot of patterns. This being one of the most famous, called the Fibonacci patterns. And when you look at it from the perspective of geometry, it's a series of numbers, which ancient man always converted to sound. Prior to the Renaissance, music was always a scale that conformed to the Fibonacci series of numbers. So prior to the Renaissance, you listen to music, you're actually listening to the frequency pattern of walking in the woods, of being out on a starry night. So you had this connect in with nature. And notice when we stopped using this as our scale about 500-600 years ago, Industrial Revolution happened. We lost our connect and we felt so disconnected, which we were, and we were able to plunder Mother Earth with our pollution. So in my Paint Your Soul CD, we're going to take that fabulous spiral, voice of Mother Earth, and put it back into the music. The second thing we're going to do is ancient people, again, the very early Lemurians and early Atlanteans were clairvoyant and clairaudient. And they could see that in this dimension, there were certain number patterns when converted to sound that would light you up like a Christmas tree. Now, what does that mean? If you look at your aura, you can see the color red. And when you have red, you have mastered compassion and you know, you've mastered emotions associated with the color red. I was so angry I saw red. I was red with passion. And when you have orange in your aura, you're mastering the emotions associated with orange and so forth. So like green is matters of the heart, abundance, healing. And so when you've mastered the energy of green, then you obtain that in your fields. It's one of your accomplishments. So in order to get white light, you have to have mastered. The component colors. So you have to have mastered the feelings, thoughts, pitches, physicality that's the same frequency or note as red, orange, yellow, indigo, blue, violets, and so forth. So if you're getting white light in your aura, you're getting the mastery of everything. That's really powerful. And the solfeggio tones, ancient people would use gematria on it, which was the system of converting written language and numbers, large numbers to small prime numbers. And they would do that to get sacred number patterns. And that's basically what the solfeggio pattern is. And then if you look at the impact in nature, if the Fibonacci gives you the spiral, then the solfeggio gives you the straight line. Nikola Tesla and Kepler in the 1600s were both scientists who had inventions that boggled their mind and, of course, hid their secrets as they, in some respects, felt mankind wasn't ready for them. Both of them attribute the power in the universe to the patterns of 369. And this is what the solfeggio number pattern is when you reduce it down to its gematria prime numbers. Again, taking aura photos before and after, just listening to this lights up your aura. It gently raises your consciousness. And my music, just so you know, is usually channeled, so I must thank some celestial being for the music. Okay, I'm gonna try a new CD. And here we go with some music and solfeggio and Fibonacci numbers, raising your consciousness. There we go. You can feel it just very lightly lifting. When white light comes into your aura, it comes from above your life stream, and this one comes from the chakra about 3 feet above your life stream. And I believe that song is also a free download at jillswingsoflight.com on the homepage too. Okay. So now we're going to go from sounds of nature and number patterns associated with the earth to healing with the sounds coming from the heavens. We are becoming in tune with heaven and earth. Ancient man correctly got the frequencies of planets in their orbit. Today we can do that with physics. And if you think of a stick with a string and a ball on the end, and you whizzle that stick, the ball's going to make a motion like an orbit and a sound. And so it is with planets. It's below our hearing range. So what I've done here in this one is I've raised the sounds of the planets up into our hearing range. Astrology is music of the sky, literally. Sherry Edwards, I've written about bioacoustics in her work in my book, Secret Sounds Ultimate Healing. She purchases, for like $9.99 a day, the frequencies from Motorola satellite and gets the astrology of a day by tape recordings. So there is energy, and it can be measured in terms of frequency coming in from space. Music astrology in its inception was not predictive, but was remedial. So if you had a challenge coming in with your astrology, you would create music to kind of negate it. Think of it this way. You have a frequency that's 10 cycles per second, one that's 1/10 cycles per second. If they combine, they cancel each other out. So in that way, if you had challenging astrology, you could use math and lessen it. But that would need to be done differently every day, and also for each individual. My Stardust CD that we're going to learn about is it's generic. So it's not going to go into your original astrology, but that is that's the force behind astrology today. The other thing about tuning to the actual frequencies of a planet is that if you become harmonious with the sounds of a planet, then when something inharmonious comes in, it's kind of like water off a duck's back. It doesn't bother you as much. For example, if you are used to the sounds of an interval and it's associated with positive things, in other words, you're in harmony with it, then you can throw in yet a third tone that perhaps is dissonant. And it really doesn't sound bad because the harmony is so great that the stronger frequency always overempowers the lesser. So one of the reasons why ancient man would listen to the star tones as in stardust is simply to be in harmony with the stars, so that when whatever individual astrological challenge you might have coming your way, just kind of, you know, if you're in tune with the stars, it's more likely to roll off easily. Ancient man had yet another use of star tones. And gosh, I would have never thought of this on my own, but they did. They believe that souls can inhabit more than human body, so that animals have souls, plants have souls, and consciousness. And also souls, great souls, can inhabit a planet. Like Gaia is the name that we give to the beautiful, masterful soul, far evolved, greater than I or you, but that inhabits Earth. Likewise, there's a great being inhabiting Venus and Mars and the other planets. And if you have resonance, if you have the same frequency of something that is greater than you establish like a little subtle link. Maybe even think of it as like spooky action at a distance in our quantum mechanics. So you establish this little link and you can start to download their energy. So another reason to tune to the stars is to start to download, connect to the really highly evolved beings in the planets. Then the final thing in the Stardust CD in the mix, and again, it's channeled music like the last one. And in both of these CDs, I perform all the instruments. I just, you know, record one track and then play another instrument and so forth. But at any rate, the other set of frequency that I have is the elements of the stars, which are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. Guess what? We're made of the elements primarily, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, albeit in different proportions, but yet we're still stardust. And everything can get sharp, musically sharp when we're stressed, or flat if we get a little depressed. Everything can get out of whack. So in the Stardust CD, I have the frequencies of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. And to show you the impact of sound, because we don't see it, so we're oblivious to it, but I had someone send in a testimony. They had an air cleaner, and it would turn off when the air was purified. And he said, all you had to do was put in my CD. Remember, it's got the sound of oxygen. And the air purifier turned off. So there you have it. Okay, now I'm going to put in this CD with our high-tech stuff. And we'll try a little bit of Always, a song from Stardust. And this is also available on jillswingsoflight.com as a free download on the homepage.
Can we stop there?
Okay. All righty. All righty.
Jill, that was amazing. I know we'd probably talked about doing 4, but we've already just gone slightly over time. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to answer some of the questions that have come up, or we'd like you between us as to answer the questions. So thank you. That was amazing. That was wonderful, and I really enjoyed that. And I hope that our viewers, and obviously those that watch the replay and the YouTube video, do as well. Now, Kate has said, are the hand movements like sound Reiki? I thought I was the only person who used the terminology sound Reiki because that's what I do. And the answer to that from me is no. But I know you said, I didn't think you mentioned at the beginning what the hand movements were, Jill. Do you want to just explain that again for people, please?
More like a mudra. So it's like not so much sound Reiki, but creating the energy or the blessings in the music. So it's not like well, I don't know. I channel. So when I channel, somebody comes in the back and speaks through me. They can also control my hands. So I know that they're stimulating different channels, different meridians, and they're actually amplifying the blessing in the music. So I don't know what terminology, but that's what it is.
No, brilliant. And I hope that answers your question, Kate. Marion says, well, again, this is the hand motions. Are hand motions formations part of any specific practice? I think you've just answered that. If so, does it have a name? Yes, we've answered that one as well. I asked because whenever I interpretate music through dance, I feel like it may be connected to some kind of energetic healing practice.
Yes, it's very similar, just using your body. If you look at the Sufis, they have these kind of funky looking hats and the skirts, and they from perhaps Iran, the hills, the mysticism, and they're whirling in sacred geometry shapes with their bodies. Even their hat is like the same shape as the earth on her axis. So they're using their bodies much like my hands were used by someone using me, to create shapes, to create energy. And yes, dancing can be very sacred. Same thing.
Which actually sort of comes back to Mara's comment. I come from a ballet background, and I feel remarkably ecstatic during certain jetés and arabesques. So again, it comes down to what you've just said. Yeah, okay. And Mara has also said here, wow, Jill, you are distilling and commingling so many energies. For me, this video is the most explanatory and comprehensive of them all. So, wow. Oh, okay, we've got a comment from Dawn. Wow, Jill, a beautiful spiritual conductress. Couldn't take my eyes off you. My inner being felt calm and at peace. Just had to keep my eyes open. But on the 3rd CD, I wanted to close my eyes. Thank you. Excellent. So thank you, folks. Thank you, Jill. Jill, have you got any last little thing you'd like to share with everybody? I know what we're going to do is make the website addresses available. Actually, for those of you watching live, you should have received both of those in your email that confirmed and gave you the links for this program. So you should have received them in that. They're on the website, and they will be for the whole of next week under the About Us page. And once tomorrow morning I've got into the YouTube video, they will be under the YouTube video as well for anybody who wants to find them. So we are definitely sharing the website addresses if you want to explore more of what Jill does. Okay, so Marion says, Hi, Jill. Thank you for answering my question. I love your work and have one of your books and 2 CDs, which leads me to ask, are there any people, organizations, training programs around the world that you might suggest for someone who seriously wishes to study about these esoteric practices?
Yes.
And she says, sorry for the long questions, but do you have any events coming up? I'll be visiting Pennsylvania next month, and I would love the chance to meet and talk to you. I think if Marianne, can you either email me, or if you can email direct to Jill and she can answer those questions for you. But folks, please feel free to connect with Jill, sort of, and
I'm teaching at Fellowship of the Spirit. It's going to be a worldwide webinar and also a live event. It's in Western New York, so it's close to where I live in Western Pennsylvania, fellowshipsofthespirit.org. And I'm going to go from these teachings from Lemuria to today and how to use them. And it's online and in person. So, and check my website. I will list events. I teach regularly.
Brilliant. So, but we got to bear in mind, folks, that if you're watching this X months down the line, that's all past. So please do go to Jill's website. It's really important. So any last little share you'd like to anything you'd like to say before we wrap?
Yes. Everybody has got different frequency needs and generic frequency needs. In my CDs, they're all generic, so that anybody who listens, or you can do drive-by healings, walks into the room, can be uplifted because people ingest sounds. However, we all have unique frequency and musical needs as well. So what in that case, as you were mentioning earlier, what you need may not be exactly what I need.
Yeah.
And I just like to tell people that their body is a wise conscious, it's in the subconscious realms, is wider than we're aware of. And when it hears what it likes, it releases endorphins. So if you find something, you go, oh, is that nice? Then that's good for you. Your body's telling you, yeah. So go for it. And likewise, if you have something that just kind of rubs you the wrong way, turn it off. It can make you sick. So how beautiful, how simple.
Absolutely. Exactly. And thank you, Jill, for joining us. Thank you for sharing with us. That's been wonderful. And I know we've run over a bit. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you'll come and join us another week. As you gathered, we've got got some regulars that have joined us this week as usual, and really lovely to see them. Next week we are being joined by Jilly Hamilton. And Jilly's going to be sharing ear and body candling. Now, I know you can do ear candling. I was unaware of the body candling bit. So I'm really looking forward to learning. And I'm loving this. I'm getting to learn every week. So thank you very much indeed for joining us. I hope you'll join us again, whether it's next week or some weeks after that. We're on every week, 7:30. In the evening most weeks. So in the end of July and beginning of August, we're going to be going 7:30 in the morning, because all my guests are going to come from Australia and New Zealand and Bali. So think about joining us for those as well, and watching the replay or the YouTube videos. So do check us out. One final, Caroline says, Jill is a very talented and loving being of the light, an angel walking on earth. And Mara, thank you, Sarah. And I also enjoyed one of the videos last week. Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you, Mara. Thank you, one and all, for watching Gift of Healing TV, for joining us live, for those of you that have. We look forward to seeing you again. Jill, thank you. Have a wonderful week, one and all. Love, peace, and light to you all. Namaste.